So now is the time. So if you have a plan, you have a goal, I'll say that. I think that's a better word than say a plan, but a goal of where you want to be. So the goal, the mindset should be, I don't care what happens, what's going on, I'm going to make this my priority. I'm not going to, have excuses, so because essentially getting up at 7:20 to be somewhere at 8 o'clock is an excuse that you have basically created, not procrastinating, setting habits. So you've talked about all of these things. And it all started with that paradigm that you were given as a child about valuing time, about valuing what it is you want to do, having a clear idea of what you want to do and doing what it takes to get to where you want to be. If that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, on the same time of people who may not say people know where they want to go or they are working towards that, because I have a lot of people that are talking about okay, we don't have enough money during this time, right? Or we only got this X amount of dollars from the government. We don't know where our money's gonna come from. We have a minimum wage job. Do you think that this same information would apply to that person?
Absolutely.
As well as it would apply to someone who may have more money, so to speak?
No. It goes back to the peacocking concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just use that stimulus money, right? Everybody, oh God, I got the stimulus money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of them taking that stimulus money
Mm-hmm.
and spreading it out and buying generic brands of food and whatever else you need, you went out and bought the top tier product and was
You
only
bought some
going to use
shrimps.
half of that money that's only going to last you for 2 weeks.
Right.
When you should have took that money and bought 2 pounds of bologna, right? or ham and cheese or whatever.
Right.
Because you don't know what, this is a pandemic that we don't even know is going to happen, right?
Right.
But you sat there and cried about getting money and losing your hours and losing your time.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you got it, you peacocked it away.
Mm-hmm.
Because you went, like you said, and bought the shrimp, bought the 5-ounce steak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did you think was going to happen?
Right.
Because you're going to be back in the same situation in 2 weeks.
And someone's going to get upset about that because it's like, wait a minute, you've shined the light on something that I'm not comfortable with, accepting right now, right? Because, and I'm not going to say, because I'm sure there are people that kind of fit outside of this, narrative, so to speak, because there probably are some people that, have some special situations, you know what I mean? So we're not talking about those groups of people, but the average person who, to your point, has the resources and will squander those resources is because their mindset, going back to them having those aligned mindsets, is in a different place where they're not even thinking about down the road. They're not even thinking about what the end goal is, right? So you can have, and I think that's the same thing happens with people that get money.
There you go.
I get all this, but if I still have, talking about the ghetto mentality, if you still have whatever that means, that's a whole conversation in and of itself. But if you have a mindset around money that's always focused on lack, I don't care how much money you're going to get, that you receive, whatever, with that mentality, you're never going to have it. You're never going to keep it.
No. And I think that is what it boils down to. And people will get defensive. They'll fight you tooth and nail. They'll say, oh, you think you better than me and whatever and whatnot. But the thing is, you just don't have the humility to say, hey, you know what? I don't know. I need to hear that. Tell me what it is. That pride, it gets in the way of a lot of things. And if I can say, hey, Mckenna, do you think it's smarter to go and buy 2 5-ounce steaks or to go and buy 10 pizzas for 75 cents out of their frozen food section. That way it'll last you whatever. And of course, we're not talking about the health aspect. We're talking about just making sure you have enough food to last. Like, people don't have that mentality because they see what they see, and they don't have the humility to say, you know what, I don't know, teach me. Maybe I need to be quiet.
So you, just to kind of go back one moment to when you were talking about the different things that you read and that you look at and listen to, if you were to say for that person that's like, okay, let me humble myself and learn and understand so I can be better, what is a book that you can say you could recommend that person to read? I know it's a lot because even in my book I had a 4 for each section. I had over 20 books. But what book would you say is you know what, this is a book that you need to read that can kind of help you?
I think that the book I have in mind is going to be a little bit over people's heads because it's a lot. It's I think that, first off, I'm not going to say that. Let's just, before I answer the book question, okay. I think that before people need to read the books, I always say short-term goals get to the long-term goal, right? So try to find articles to help substantiate what you're trying to accomplish. So I read Entrepreneur Magazine, Black Enterprise, Success Magazine all the time. They gave me a number of ideas to help me do what I need to do. You can't expect anybody to just be able to pick up a book and read it when it took me 20 years to really appreciate reading a book.
Right.
I think that if I had to give a book, it would be 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Okay. I think that that's an awesome book. It's a long book. It's a concept book. You have to be open-minded to reading it. But the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is pretty much going to give you the breakdown of habits to be and to do whatever. But again, I'm a firm believer in to creating smaller, short-term goals to get a long-term goal. So I would first start with articles in said magazines and getting into a habit of reading that before you step to a book of that magnitude, because it can be a lot.
Right.
I also say
that's by John C. Maxwell.
That's absolutely right. I also say if your attention span is like mine, audiobooks work. Audiobooks work, and they're well worth it. And I tell you what I will say. I challenge people to really go into the bookstore. Really appreciate Barnes and Noble. The library, okay. But I can tell you, you go into Barnes and Noble and you're geared towards entrepreneurship and committing yourself to that environment of being quiet and making yourself go to that shelf and pull that book and reading through whatever. That creates a different habit in itself, because you know if it's a concert that we want to go to, we can figure out how to go there, right?
Absolutely.
But you can't make yourself go to a Barnes and Noble, so to speak, to commit yourself to different habits, to break old ones to get to the level you want to be at, right?
Right.
And I can tell you that helped me out a lot. So to piggyback, well, I guess kind of to back up with that. So when I was getting my master's, I had 57 jobs, right? And I would get off work And I'd be so tired, I couldn't sit down and do my work. And I had to figure that out. So what I did one day, well, actually for a week, I got off work at 5. I immediately went home and ate some dinner, whatever that was. Watched an hour of TV. So now you're talking about probably 7 o'clock. Literally take a shower, decompress, and go get in the bed. So literally by 8 o'clock, I'm in the bed. But by 2 o'clock, I would wake up because of my alarm, if I was in a deep sleep, or I would just be up because I went to bed early. But from 3 to 6 a.m., I'm a genius because my mind is clear. I'm not thinking about, oh, I'm so tired or what's on TV or whatever. I had to create my own routine and pretty much take it back to the basics of me growing up because we worked all day, right? You know, outside in that heat. So you were ready to take a shower or take a bath and go get in the bed. That's what I did. And by 3 o'clock in the morning, to get up to type my papers or do my reports or do whatever I had to do, I was so much more clear. So it didn't change. My habits didn't change. It just I guess what I was doing in my habits changed. Been the same the entire time.
Because you knew what you wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also know what I wasn't going back to.
Yeah.
You know, so while I appreciate how I grew up, I'm not going to go and choose to stay like that when I can do better because of how I use my time. And I think if people realize that, a lot of things will be different in their lives.
And as you, and to your point, you kind of touched on this before, but did you notice that as you decided that you wanted to do something different, that you started to attract to you people that were doing the same types of things that you wanted to do?
The law of attraction is real.
Yes.
The law of attraction is real.
Yeah.
And hence why I said the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. But you have to be open-minded because it's kind of freaky. It'll freak you out when you read it and you're like, man, this is for real? Yeah, it is for real.
It is.
But again, you have to start off small before you go and jump into that book, you know. And then I always had a mindset of I wanted to open up a business, period, you know, from forever ago. So I was always on that. I remember the first time I got one of those, I got Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, you know, and I'm like, man, this is going to be whack, you know. But when I started reading it, then I started listening to it, it was like, man, this is pretty cool.
That's right.
And it just made me really reconfigure my mindset on, okay, well, this fits into exactly what I want to do. Maybe not to that level, but these habits are something that's going to set me apart from everybody else. And it has. And if it's, I think it's Steve Covey. I mean, I've listened to and read a lot of things that was probably beyond my mentality at that point in time, but resonates with me nonetheless because I committed it to memory. And for me, how I read, when I'm reading, I'm taking notes so that way I can remember what I'm doing. And it made all the difference because again, my habits were already there. I just refined those habits and changed a few things, and it has made me, I guess, even deadlier as an entrepreneur because I recognize those values in that time and what it takes to get to that level, and continue to get to those levels. And once I got there, I like you said, I was attracted to people who were doing the same thing. So I'm in Barnes and Noble, and I'm sitting here making small talk with people, you know, checking out books and whatnot. And they literally are doing the same thing I'm doing. Like, hey, I had to come here and get away from the house and lock in. I said I wanted to start a business. Oh, really? Hey, my name is Mark.
Hey,
And
right.
that's how it starts. I mean, and I'm
Yeah.
telling you, that makes all the difference.
Yes. Change your mindset, change your life.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where you are. You could be in a pandemic. You know, you can be in a 9 to 5. It does not matter. It's about what is going on in your mind that will dictate where you're going to go.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to say, I want to change and be better than yesterday.
Right.
You know,
Because it could totally just be a better relationship or, you know.
In order to make yourself better, you have to change habits. You have to look at yourself. You have to accept the humility that you need help to do certain things. And that's okay with telling somebody, hey, man, for real, I can't really read that good. So can you help me read? I mean, I don't know. I'm just using an example, but nothing is wrong with that. And I think that people are, again, we peacocking, right? We're trying to look cool and put on a show, right? But instead, and for real, you really are pitiful because you need help, and you're too prideful to say, hey, I need help. How about you help me? Would you mentor me? Would you mind?
There it is.
There it is.
Well, I thank you. I mean, I just really appreciate you taking time out today to talk to me. Again, this is Mark White from Skipwith, Virginia. Entrepreneur. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. And I hope to talk to you again on Mckenna.
All right. I look forward to it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.